Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Is it just the two of us?
Actually, I think we've got one more. Susan Wills is also supposed to be with us.
Okay. Where are you in Alabama?
Yes, yes. I live
Okay.
in Rainbow City, which is just outside of Gadsden.
Okay. Okay.
Are you in
I,
Alabama?
no, I am right outside of Georgia.
Right outside of where in Georgia?
Savannah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yep. So
It was nice to meet you.
actually, I got confused. The meeting at 4:30, but I didn't realize our time zones are different. Now, so I got on early, and I was like, "Oh man!" I realized it was different. So
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you
no,
were that far away.
that's no problem. No, 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 that's no problem at all. So where do you, or what do you teach?
I'm actually a principal at Glencoe Middle School, and this is my first year as
Okay.
principal. Uh-huh. I
Okay, congrats.
Thank you. I served as an assistant principal in a high school for 2 years, and before that, I was
Okay.
an English teacher for 20 years.
Wow. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Very nice. That's awesome.
What do you teach?
I'm a PE teacher at an elementary school.
Okay, my wife teaches at an elementary school. She teaches fourth grade.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
Hmm. Have you had a chance to look over the stuff for
So I
this?
printed out yeah, I printed out the first thing about like the meeting one and meeting two, to kind of try to see what was going on and what, what needed to be done. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I've looked over the stuff and I have some notes and um, I think we just kind of have to walk through the steps based on what they're telling us to do and
Right.
talk through it. Yeah.
Okay. And do you know how to record our meeting?
I'm actually recording now. I set it up to
Okay, perfect.
record as soon as I logged in. So
Okay, okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Now I don't know if this meeting has to be uploaded anywhere, but I think the second one is where
Okay,
we will present. But I did record
gotcha,
it.
gotcha.
I recorded it anyway because I didn't know whether it really
Yeah,
needed.
just to be on the safe side. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was trying to look and see. I think we have four. Is there four people in our group? There's
Did they
two.
add somebody? Because I didn't invite. I only invited Susan
Let,
Wills and you.
okay, let me see. I got my desktop and my laptop, so I'll try to look and see. Are we group four? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yep, it's just three of us.
Okay.
Yep. It looks like there's three in every group, so
Okay. And that makes sense because even though there are like four like responsibilities within the group, it's really only three because the last one is researcher, and I think it pretty much says all of us have to
I
research.
think everybody, yeah, we all have to play that role, so right. Is it, how
Ah, here
far are
comes.
you in the program?
This is my last semester. In fact, we should be done soon. I'm
Really?
yes, yes.
Nice. I'm just starting. This is my first semester.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Hey
yeah.
Susan,
Hey Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, um, I'm good. I was just looking over all this, and I'm a little bit panicked because I was like, okay, are we supposed to already like be knowing what we're gonna say and discuss and all this? I'm a little bit panicked.
I don't really think so. And because Zoom like times us out, um, we only have like 45 minutes, I think, on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead, I think, and get started. If y'all want me to, I'll be the leader on this one. And then we can switch roles maybe next time if we want to stay in the same group for the next project or something like that. I'll do the leader this time and just sort of walk us through by asking the questions. I'm recording this meeting and I'll share that with you guys so that you can go back and look at what we said. But we just need somebody who wants to be the PowerPoint
I can do that. I
person.
don't mind.
Okay. And then that leaves.
I'm Lauren. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Lauren.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, well, you don't have to say ma'am, but
Sorry.
thank you. No, you're good. It's nice to meet you too.
And I've got the earbuds in because if not, you guys would hear everything going on in my house. So.
Well,
And then Lauren, can you do the recorder stuff? It just says records all the ideas that are given.
Yeah, definitely. I've got
okay.
my notebook ready, so I'll do that, and I can share. I'll type it up and share with you guys each time as well.
Okay.
oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, let's get started. We apparently are a team of interventionists, and we're helping Mrs. Esperanza. She's a new teacher. I was a little bit confused because on the instructions it said that we were a 3rd grade team, but we're helping a 9th grade teacher. So we'll just go with we're an intervention group, and we're helping a 9th grade team, a 9th grade teacher who teaches Algebra 1, and her class has just completed their end of unit assessment. So I'm assuming this is sort of an interim assessment, and it covers quite a few items. And we are going to look at this data and then sort of talk about it today. So the main sheet I think we're really going to be focusing on is this one. This is where all the data is collected. And we're just going to walk through the steps, looking at this stuff, and then talk about it. And I'm going to share my screen because I have this cool little thing. I don't know if y'all ever use, I don't know if you use classroomscreen.com, but back when I was in the classroom, I used it all the time, and I always share it with my faculty now because it has an automatic timer on it that's really easier than a lot of those other timers that I have seen out there. So as soon as I can figure out how to share my screen on Zoom, I will do that and then show you the timer so that we can stay right on time and make sure that we get all of our parts done the way we're supposed to. All right, let me see.
Yeah, I printed off the data, but mine printed in black and white, so hopefully I can make sense of this.
Oh yeah, that is, yeah, that. And mine printed really vibrantly, so it's kind of hard to read the stuff that's in the blue. Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Mine just says it started screen sharing, but I don't see it.
Okay.
It just says recording. It's black.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, whoa, what was, I shouldn't have done that. That was really loud. Okay, can you see the timer yet?
No.
Okay, well, what we'll do is, for the sake of time, we won't worry about
it. I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, you
we
do?
Got it
okay.
Now.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, so for step 1, we're supposed to take 5 minutes, but we do 2 minutes of silent writing and then 3 minutes discussing. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And here's our question for step 1. What parts of this data catch your attention? So I think we probably just need to look at the data and look at things here that are attention grabbers. And then at the end of 2 minutes, we'll talk about it and see if we had the same kind of ideas. So I'll start the timer now. Hey, 2 minutes doesn't seem like a long time when it's ticking down like this and when we have so much data. But what do you
I
guys
know.
notice?
Um, it, to me, it looked like the linear equations, the write and solve, the system of equations was the lowest scores. I kind of noticed a pattern for that right off the bat, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
I think that most students struggled with short answer and open-ended questions.
yes.
Yeah, that's yeah, they were better at multiple choice, but struggled more with the short answer and open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Uh,
noticed that too.
I noticed the class average was 56%, so half the half the class failed the test.
I was gonna say half of the classes failing.
Yeah.
And it looked the standard number 2 at the bottom where it goes through like algebra 1, number 2 standards.
Mhm.
Those were not, they were mainly red for that one. So it looks like that would
Yeah,
definitely be like a reteaching kind of thing.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if we just look at, I mean, pre-algebra standards, that's not within the course that this is teaching. So though they were part of the test, those things where, we only had the one red cell actually weren't even standards that are within this course. So that's,
But that shows they have a good base there
yeah,
anyway, I guess.
that's a positive. That's going to be one of those things we're supposed to look at later. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else you guys or anything that jumped out at you? I think these are, we kind of all hit on the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of being a team of people, if we were in the real world and we were really trying to help this teacher with this data, I think, yes, reteaching, that's one of the things that we're going to probably talk about in a couple steps. And also, identifying those places where you need to reteach because you can't reteach everything.
Right.
Right.
So what are the parts that are the most important to touch on again?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've kind of hit that, so that's good. Okay, well, do we want? I'm going to try and stop this before we have that horribly loud bell again. I don't know if y'all heard the bell, but it was really loud
I
on
didn't
my
hear
side.
it. No.
Oh, well, then maybe it's just me that's going to hear it, but it was really loud. So I'm going to stop it and watch. It's going to do it anyway because I'm ticking it down to
I know
0.
you piqued my interest.
Well,
Curiosity.
when I go to 0, it goes, nah. Oh yeah, there it was. It sounds like the end of time on Wheel of Fortune. It's like really loud. Okay. Step 2, what does the data tell us? What does the data not tell us? Again, we're supposed to do 5 minutes, and this time we're going to do 2 minutes silently again, and then 3 minutes discussing as a group. But just to give us some things to hone in on, what we're really supposed to be looking at here is, was this objective or learning target taught during this quarter? Generate possible explanations for what the data reveals, and what can you infer about the data regarding the impact on student learning. So keep those things in mind and sort of generate some questions, make some inferences so that we can talk about those about 2 minutes from now. So what sort of things does the data tell us?
I think
So
it's kind of,
go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, you're good. I was just going to say, I think it's a little bit redundant from step one to me, but like Lauren said, maybe reteaching the systems of equations, how to solve those, that looks like for sure a reteaching point. But and then, you know, we mentioned the open-ended questions, maybe even how to answer those type of questions. I mean, I know algebra is the theme here, but possibly strategies, you know, test-taking strategies for open-ended questions. I don't know, some thoughts.
It's interesting that you mentioned test-taking strategies, because one thing that jumped out to me is that this test covered 15 different concepts,
Yeah.
and half of them, well, almost half of them, seven of the concepts scored below 60%. So
Yeah.
it's almost like the kids might not have ever taken a test this large, or a test that
Yeah.
covered this many concepts, and so they weren't ready for this kind of test. So I think definitely we don't know for sure if the teacher was using open-ended questions and short answer questions in instruction, and I think they need to be used in instruction before they show up on a test.
Yep.
I was going to basically build off of what both of you guys said. I just said that, you know, the data shows, like what you were saying earlier, only half of the class met, the rest were kind of failing. And then if you look back on the bottom, you know, the pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, yeah, you've got some few lower like 70s, but for the most part those scores are really low. So it's like the students are not grasping the whole, like they're getting 1 and 2 here and there, but they're not grasping that whole, you know, big picture concept kind of thing.
I mean, I don't think that students all have to make A's, and I don't think A's are the only great thing, but there's not an A on this test. There's an 86%. Your highest performing student scored 86%. So what does that mean? I think it does inform us a little bit about instruction, and we have to start asking about the instruction. So hopefully that's where we would go with our teachers, helping our teachers see that she needs to really hone in on the various parts of this test that can help her kids. So,
Breaking it down into maybe smaller tests, and like you said, smaller chunks of objectives instead of so many at one time.
Right.
maybe so. And then working on those test taking skills so that later on they do better on the next interim test. And that's something we're working on at my school actually is coming up with some tests at the end of each 9 weeks to sort of give us that interim picture and get kids used to covering multiple topics that span quite a bit of time, because it's not something we've done consistently in the past. So
more, as they say, more formative than summative.
Any other ideas there? Our 5 minutes ended, so we can move on if we're ready to the good news. Step 3 is, what good news is there to celebrate? And we get 5 whole minutes just to talk about the good. I think it is important, honestly, when you are trying to help a teacher review data, to talk about the good stuff in the same way that we often sandwich like our negative feedback with positive feedback on both sides for kids. Teachers need that too sometimes. And so it's important when a teacher brings us data where most of, or half the class has failed something, for us to help them find what they can be proud of in there. So what were y'all thinking about good things?
Well, I guess off the top, I think, first of all, like I said, they have a good base of pre-algebra. She might want to back up to what they do know, because math is obviously, builds the concepts. One concept builds on another. So you almost have to take it back. But that's the good news. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you start with those things that the kids did well, which include the mean and median and mode, those pre-algebra standards. I've lost a light here. I think I kicked the light and it stopped working. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you that we need to hone in on those things. Those pre-algebra standards are things that clearly the kids did well. And they might have started there. I mean, I know, especially this year, all of my teachers had to go back and kind of do some things from the year before when they were trying to get the kids, back up and running this year. So who knows what the beginning of this year looked like for them.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think too, we mentioned earlier the multiple choice. They seem to do better on that part, which some could be just guessing, just getting it right by guessing. But the teacher could also go back and find out what's the disconnect between the multiple choice and the short answer. You can get it right on the multiple choice. So what's the problem going from short answer or open-ended? Are you able to give partial credit on a short-ended, things like that.
Right. At first, when I was looking through the data, I thought that kids were scoring 2 out of 5 on these short answers, like the best score was a 2 out of 5. And that was me misinterpreting the data, but I thought, wow, nobody's getting any points on the short answer. Turns out, no, they are. They're often getting some points. So at least on short answers, she's able to give some partial credit.
I think that did help her data.
Yeah, a little bit. But those open-ended.
At least there's not as many standards in algebra, the 1 standards as there is in 2 that need to be focused on,
Right.
Yeah, there were only 2 that were below passing, on those. So.
Right. And so it kind of seems as if, there's not as much remediation really as we originally thought. because you could just go back and touch on the things that you just finished, or you're still growing in these areas because they probably are still working with functions at this point in an Algebra
Right.
1 class. In terms of the good news, I mean, 32% is it's not as low as it could be. It could be much lower. So
Yeah.
So that is something. It's not in the bottom quartile or whatever. You might say that.
It's got enough to build on, like I said, with those pre-algebra and the ones that have passed the Algebra 1 standards. So that's, you don't have to go back and reteach those, you could build on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to phrase those things. Okay. Step 4. What are the problems of practice suggested by the data? And here again, they want us to do a little 2 minutes of silent time, 3 minutes of talking, focusing on practices or strategies for improving student learning. In other words, we're really supposed to be looking here about what things might be coming up in terms of classroom practice that that might be indicated by this data. So let's think about those things and how we can help this teacher for a couple minutes. Okay, so what are some problems of practice that might be happening in this classroom?
I think what we were talking about, focusing on a smaller set of objectives, maybe, maybe not, and more frequent testing as opposed to one big test with all these objectives on it, this information, maybe.
Okay, so we might start with a question like, okay, so how do you formatively assess? Like, what are your forms of informal assessment? What are your forms of formal assessment? Do you have lots of small tests, or is this the only test? Like, when's the last time that they were assessed beyond this test or before this test?
Right.
And I think going with that too, we talked about this earlier. What kind of practice was given before the test? Like, were they given those open-ended questions on homework, or were they given short answer questions, or was this the first time that they were given those? Like, what did they do before to prepare them for this?
Yes. Okay. And then when we talk about like the first step for her to take from this point forward, I think I would probably suggest to her, because we've all kind of said reteaching is going to be necessary, but reteaching isn't really necessary for the whole class. It's only about half of them. So that suggests small group instruction for me. So I think
Yeah.
the teacher might need to identify who needs certain kinds of small group instruction. So like if there's a way for her to go through this data, and that's what I was trying to do, is just sort of figure out which kids needed the same skills to pull some small groups. Like you got to move forward in your class, and that's one of the most difficult things for some of my teachers, is that when I ask them to reteach, I'm not saying let's stop the learning. I'm saying it's in addition to what we're already doing. And so they need
Yeah.
they need a lesson for everybody to be introduced to. And then when everybody's working in independent time, that's when you pull a small group and you start working on things that they're deficient in. And that's of course the hardest part of the teaching
Yeah.
process, really. But I think maybe that would be the first step for this teacher. What are y'all thinking?
Yeah, I think it's easy with this data to identify those students, because you see the ones there, that have scored below the 50%, or you have a group automatically right there that you
Right.
see needs more in one-on-one instruction like that. So, or small
Mm-hmm.
group instruction. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. And at my school, they pull theirs in the morning. They have like a 15-minute like IE time block, and that is where they do some of their small group stuff. And so maybe something like that could work.
Definitely. If you have that flexibility, and I think in elementary schools and in middle schools, we have a little bit more of that than they do in high schools.
Yeah.
My grades are fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, and every one of my kids has an RTI period. So we like everyone is not in need of tier 2 or tier 3 instruction, but we have a period built in the day so that we can make that happen. And so if you can
Right.
get this information to the RTI teacher, then they can do some small group instruction with these kids in the areas that these kids need. So
Yeah.
that's how we would probably end up handling it at my school.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
That's good.
Okay, well then step 5. What are your key conclusions? What recommendations does the team have for addressing the problems of practice? Outline an action plan in this step. So what do we want to say for the teacher? Like, how can we help the teacher? I think we've kind of already hit on it,
Yeah.
really, when we suggested these problems of practice. Now, it, of course, could all fall apart when we say these things to Miss Esperanza, and she says, well, I already have, I'm already doing small groups, like, for half my class period, and blah, 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 blah. But if she's not, if she doesn't know any of those things, then I think that's what we do. We start by saying, here's our action plan. You're going to identify the kids who are in need of small group instruction. And those would be kids who have deficiencies in or have shown deficiencies on this test in these certain areas. And so you're going to give them more intense instruction in these areas, in addition to the fact that you're moving forward. And that's difficult for math. It really is, especially with Algebra 1, because kids do need these building blocks, like you guys were already saying. But we're here to support them, and we're here to help. And if there's a way that we can use another time during the day, like you were saying, that early morning 15 minutes or an RTI period or some other time, then we give them that. And then if the teacher says, well, I don't know how to do small group instruction, well, that's when we lead a little in-house PD on how to do small group instruction,
Yeah.
or we send them to a workshop, or show them some resources for that. So I think that's a good action plan, honestly, for this, because in essence, this is the first unit test. It's not really indicative that we can't fix things. We're in a
Right.
stage when we can fix things.
Yeah, because you haven't seen, this is not like a pattern of, oh, this is the 5th test with the same kind of result. This is just the first one.
Yeah, yeah. And it could be
Well,
that these are kids who need that extra.
yeah. Between identifying the students and then identifying the objectives, and then the methods of test taking. I think that's the focus, really. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are nearing the end of our recorded time. We only have 7 more minutes. So I guess we need to talk about when we are going to meet again, because that'll be the one that we record with our PowerPoint.
And I'll put that. Lauren, do you have my email address?
I do not, but if you'll give it to me, I'll share these notes with both of y'all as well.
Okay. Let me just give you it's Susan, Susan, Susan
Okay.
R. Wills, WILLS, @gmail.com.
All right. And I have yours already, Kenny, from our conversation earlier. So I'll get these notes typed up and send them over to both of y'all.
Awesome.
Okay. And I'll put the PowerPoint together and send it back to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
How about that?
That sounds
Perfect.
great. Do you guys want to meet? This thing is due next Sunday. So,
I had to think for a minute what today is.
hey, I know, and we've got a big thing. Susan, are you in the 692 class too?
Yes, the research. Yes.
Yeah, so all of our revisions for our big project are due tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't mean to throw up.
I know. I haven't even. I mean, I'm still trying to. With the virtual, I've had to do everything because you guys are not virtual. We've been virtual.
Yeah, we are
so it's
hybrid.
Difficult.
Yeah, and
we're either or.
yeah, well, yeah, that's us. And then on top of that, they canceled the pre-ACT, which is what my group for that project was really focusing our attention on. So we don't like, we're not going to have that data. So we've had to
that's
come
what
up.
I told my professor. I said, I don't have data yet. I'm still.
I'm revising ours.
What do you teach, Susan?
I am actually a library media specialist, but I'm doing a project with the 4th grade class science project. And so, I've been having to do it Google Classroom and trying to get the kids to do to do their projects online. It's been,
at least in Etowah County, we've got some kids in house that we can, because we're going to do like some climate things where we're talking about testing and we're talking about changing the way you look at tests and doing some we're going to do how to interpret your score report and use a different set of kids so that we can go to like last year's kids who took the test and help them interpret their score report.
That's creative.
Well, it had to
got to
be.
do it.
Yeah, there wasn't any other choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been hard not even setting my eyes on a child trying to get this done.
When are they going to open back up for you guys? It's coming soon, right?
Yes, a week from Monday.
Are you in Alabama also?
Yeah. Yes. Are you in Georgia?
I'm in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you teach?
PE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're not really used to looking at data.
No, I'm not at all. That's why I'm like, okay, I hope what I'm saying sounds good because I'm winging it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit familiar with it because I came from a classroom background, but. Anyway.
Okay.
Well,
next
I think
meeting.
let's try and figure that out. Let me see. I've got to, as the principal, I'm in charge of afternoon activities too. So I'm checking my Dragonfly to see when my volleyball games are.
you're probably more busy than I do work after school, but till 5:30 on some days. But
Doesn't look like I have anything going on next week. How is that possible? That's not possible. Um,
haven't
But
filled in your blank.
yeah, I can make it. I can make it work. Looks like any day, but I think we probably need to do it one afternoon.
Maybe midweek or Thursday or something like that. I don't know.
What about
Well,
Thursday? Can we get it done? Can we get the PowerPoint done by then in order to be able to present
yeah,
it?
can I back it up a day? I forgot I have a Bible study on Thursday night.
Okay. Friday nights
Back
are bad for me because my daughter's on
it,
dance
like
night.
Wednesday, maybe. Wednesday.
We can
I
do
can
it
do
Wednesday.
Okay,
Okay,
so if you get the info to me, Lauren, and then I'll get that PowerPoint put together in the next couple of days.
Yes, ma'am. I sure will.
do we want to set it like right at 3 o'clock since Lauren's in Georgia so that she's not?
I do not get out of school until 3:30.
Okay. So
I may
that
be
would,
working till 5:30 on Wednesday
so you get out at, okay.
or
What
5.
time do we want to do? We want to do 5:30 on Wednesday?
Sure.
That's fine for
That'd
me.
be good.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
5:30 on Wednesday. I'll set another Zoom meeting and give you guys the invitation.
And I'll get
Five.
these notes to you by tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds
And that's
good.
5:30 on Central Time. Lauren,
So it'll be 6:30 my time.
is that okay?
Yep, that's great.
All right. Okay, well, I think we probably need to log out now or they're going to make us, like, they'll cut us off and we won't even get to say goodbye. So it was great to meet you,
It was nice to meet
Lauren.
y'all.
Thank
Yep.
you
So
Sammy.
much.
Nice
All
to
right.
meet you, Lauren.
Y'all have a great
Bye-bye.
day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.